Hey, Ryan.
Hi.
So I had actually a great conversation with a listener recently.
Yeah.
And so this episode is actually going to be a request. And we were having a conversation about commonly used personal development phrases and how they can sound really light and fluffy. And, they sound good and they make sense, but like, what do they actually mean? What is
Yeah.
the real kind of like explanation here.
Yeah.
So I
I
thought it
think
might be a good idea for an episode.
I think it's a great idea for an episode. And I like this idea for the episode because I think a lot of these like common sayings and not to I don't want to make this episode controversial. However, what I think is these sayings in the personal development world, in the coaching world, in the, self-development world are often controversial and are often a point of contention and are often triggering for people, especially people who are outside, who have not embraced the personal development world, or for people who are new to it, where they might hear these sayings like, I don't know, we'll get into a few of them soon and just fluff it off, or like you say, like, that's not going to help me. I can't positive think myself into, being free of this and that or having more of this and that. And they're easy, and I'll give the critics this, they're easy to dismiss. But on the other side, on the flip side, I think a lot of them hold water. And I think part of our discussion today should be why, depending on how you perceive these, common tidbits of advice, they could either be totally valuable or totally annoying.
I agree. I think sometimes what happens is you read this sentence and it's so deep that like on the surface it's hard to understand it. I think that's why you just kind of like fluff it off like you said,
Yeah.
because you can't like you actually have to sit and think about it. Like you have to get underground to like really understand what it is that is being said here, because some of these phrases have been around for 100 years or more.
Yeah. A billion years or longer.
So they're extremely profound and can be passed off of as fluff because you're just like, I'm not ready to go deep, right?
Yes. Okay. So should we say what the name of the podcast is?
Yes, we should. This is the No Excuses podcast with Alanna Banks and Ryan Montes. Yeah, we're talking about personal development phrases that, what do they really mean in simple language?
Okay. So let's pick one and start with it. Which one do you want to do first?
So I think one that has come up is, what does it mean to shift your energy?
That's a good one.
Yeah. And this might not be like a quote, right? Like, I think we're going to get into a couple of quotes as well. But, this is something that you might hear coaching gurus or coaches say. It's like, all you have to do is shift your energy. It's simple, right?
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean?
Okay. So quick sidebar about why I think it's so easy for these sayings. Now that we have one out there for the listeners to kind of chew on, just shift your energy, right? Why to some people does this make perfect sense? And people will be like, yeah, I just got to shift my energy. And that's true. And other people will hear this and be like, oh, that's nonsense, right? And here's why I think it is. Here's my theory, Alanna. We as human people, especially successful human people, have this tendency to take what we've done, massively oversimplify it, boil it down into an explanation that is technically correct, and then expect other people to understand and implement it without the benefit of all of our experience that led us to that little tidbit of wisdom, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to the person who hears the tidbit of wisdom, if they happen to have life experiences that allow them to interpret that tidbit in a manner that lets them see the value in it, then great, it makes sense to them, right? But if they don't have life experiences similar to the person who's speaking it, it could be total nonsense. It might not compute at all, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I completely agree. Because I think it's easy to kind of off the cuff be like, just shift your energy.
Yeah.
But if someone said that to me 10 years ago, it would have a very different meaning to me then than it does now.
Yeah.
Because I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of training. I have shifted my energy.
You've shifted your energy.
Like I
Right?
actually have.
Yeah.
But back then I may have thought, oh, so does that mean like I should just go for a run right now? Like, does that mean I need to like what does that mean? Like shift my energy, like my energy level?
Yeah.
I don't think I
So
would really understand.
good. I agree. Right. So here's the thing. I think listeners, here's the valuable thing. If you hear this advice, you got to shift your energy and it does not compute, instead of letting that trigger you or just dismissing it, maybe aim to understand what is meant. Ask, if you have the opportunity, ask of people who are saying these things, clarifying questions. What do you mean by shift my energy? Right? Because energy can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Shift can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. So that's, I think now, we've gotten into a little bit why something can be very empowering for one person and not at all for another person. But let's Alanna, I think let's hone in maybe a little bit on this specific one, shift your energy. And you hinted a little bit there about to what that means
Hmm.
for you.
Yeah.
So let's unpack it a little bit. What does it mean to shift your energy and why is that important?
Well, for me to shift my energy, it really means like I need to get out of for me personally, I need to get out of like the headspace that I'm in. So, maybe things aren't going the way I had planned, or, something's not working out for me. In order to shift my energy, I need to remove myself from where I'm at, what I'm doing. And that might mean like physically remove myself. So, go for a walk, go for a run, do something physically active, change my environment. It also could just mean I need to just chill out for a few minutes. Like maybe I'm too up here. Like I'm feeling way too much energy around me. And so I need to do a self hypnosis, do a meditation, lie down
Yeah.
and chill.
Cool.
So that's how I
Cool.
shift mine.
So those are some really good tidbits on how. I think it's important also to understand why. First of all, what does it mean to shift our energy and why is it important? And I think if I were to break it down real quick, energy in this context is just describing your current state of being, listeners.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to chunk it down slightly more, I think my energy right now is a combination of what I'm thinking about, my general physiology, and the state that I'm in or the way that I'm feeling right now. And the combination of these three things, what I'm thinking about, my general physiology, and the state or how I'm feeling right now, have a huge effect on what behaviors and choices I'm making right now, on what behaviors I'm producing right now. So when I say, I got to shift my energy, it means that one or more of those elements, what I'm thinking about, my physiology or how I'm feeling, what state I'm in, is in a status that is causing undesired feelings or behavior. And if I want to produce different, better feelings or behaviors, I need to examine my energy, which probably for all intents and purpose means changing what I'm thinking about, changing something about my physiology, and or taking action to change the state that I'm in. Like for example, if you're sad being a class of emotion that falls under the depressive category, meaning less action, basically, you're not going to go out and run a marathon, most likely. But if that's the behavior you want to produce, a good first step would be to change your energy, shift your energy from sad to happy or from sad to enthusiastic, right? And I can almost hear people being like, but how? If I'm sad, it's not so easy, Ryan. Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's why we do the work. That's why we have the tools. But, I think that's what shift your energy in a very, what would you say, nuts and bolts way of speaking means, at least to me. Different people may have different definitions, but to me, that's how I, understand it in my mind.
Yeah. Some people might be listening and thinking, okay, how do I do that, right? Like, how do I shift from being sad to happy? I think even going deeper than that is recognizing, like, where is your energy at?
Yeah.
Because I remember when I started doing this type of work, like, I wasn't even aware of how I was feeling.
Yeah.
It was almost like I had this belief that I was feeling this certain way, but I didn't even know how to label it or like identify what was going on. And, as I've become better at shifting my energy, it's because I'm actually more aware of my energy. Now we're
Yeah.
just going like, whoa, like,
Yeah.
that's just maybe too much. But it's just like becoming aware of, and your energy is, like you said, your emotional state. How are you feeling? Right? Like tap into, like, how are you feeling? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling overwhelmed or frustrated or anxious or angry?
Yeah.
And sit with that first as like a first step, I think.
Yeah.
And then baby steps. How do you shift that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how can you shift from feeling a bit sad to maybe happy is too much of a leap. Maybe it's to content or
Yeah.
satisfied or something like that. Like, how do you shift that incremental shift to get to that?
Yeah. We don't have time to get too much into that.
No, we don't.
We don't
But
have
I
time to
think
teach
that
everybody everything about shifting their energy.
I think that would be a
Right?
good first step, though. Like, really tune in. How are you feeling? And take an
Yeah.
inventory of that.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. How am I feeling right now? How would I prefer to be feeling right now? What action can I take? Right. So I think here's the need to know. To put a bow on this first one, you got to shift your energy. Your results, everybody, the results you're getting are a reflection of the behaviors you're producing. The behaviors you're producing are a reflection of your energy the majority of the time. So if your energy, metaphorically or literally speaking, the majority of the time is not great, guess what your results are going to be. And if your energy, metaphorically or not metaphorically speaking, most of the time is great or positive, guess what kind of results you're going to tend to wind up with, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's what that one, for me, again, you agree or disagree? What do you think?
No, I agree. I was actually just looking because I wrote something down this morning that was like exactly about this. And basically, I can't find it, but I'm going to recall. It was, you're learning when your behavior has changed.
I like that.
You've learned something new once you're doing something different.
Yeah.
So that's how you know the work is working.
Okay, cool. Let's do another one.
Yeah. Do we want to do a quote maybe, since that shifting your energy was?
Yeah, that's more. Yeah, sure.
Well, the one we have here is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That quote often attributed, I believe, to Ford, Henry Ford. I don't know if that's a correct attribution or not, but often attributed to Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, a bit of a cliche. Another one that's like, I've heard it used ironically, to kind of make fun of like motivational speakers, right? But here's the thing, ladies and gents and listeners, it's true. It's true. Like the behaviors you believe you can produce, you're more likely to produce, and the behaviors that you believe you cannot produce, you are less likely to produce. If you genuinely believe that you could never have the confidence to go bungee jumping, you're probably never even going to try, right? If a person genuinely believes that there's nothing stopping them from going bungee jumping and they would maybe enjoy it, they're exponentially more likely to attempt it and to do it, right? If somebody hears this quote and scoffs at it, that might be a red flag. That might be an indicator that they don't yet fully understand the relationship between their own unconscious mind, their own beliefs and attitudes, and the results that they're getting in life. And it's not woo woo. It's actually basic psychology at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like the other one is, we become what we think about.
Yeah.
I think, did Buddha say that? I don't know. I think what we think we become.
Somebody said it. Somebody important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we think we become, Buddha said, but we become what we think about is, I think Earl Nightingale has
Yeah.
also said that. But like these are going back a long time, and it's true. And it's easy, same thing. It's easy to let this kind of just like fluff off. But when you really think about it, and when you ask yourself, yeah, what do I think about on a daily basis and what is showing up in my reality, they
Yeah.
will align. You might not want to get that honest with yourself.
Alanna,
Yes.
if I have, let me ask you a question. Okay.
Okay.
If I have a job at the produce department at the local grocery store, and for 40 hours a week, I think about apples and bananas and avocados, am I going to turn into an apple, a banana, or an avocado?
No, but you're going to be really happy with your job, right?
But you said you become what you think about. If all I think about is fruits and veggies, then according to you, I should become a fruit and or vegetable. Should I not? Here's the thing. This is how people dismiss really empowering advice that could better their life, right? People look for extreme counterexamples that, of course, are silly and ridiculous in order to dismiss well-meaning and, in often cases, very valuable advice, like you become what you think about. Of course, we don't literally mean you become what you think about. I do not mean if you think about a 2001 Ford Focus black sedan, you're going to wake up in a parking lot and now you're a car. Nobody thinks that, right? Nobody believes that. But what you focus on, the thoughts you hold, the ideas you hold, the beliefs you hold, have a huge effect on the decisions and, again, the decisions and behaviors you produce, which what ultimately create your results and circumstances in life. So if a person grows up thinking about how much they would love to become a surgeon, right, a brain surgeon, and they think about that a lot, and they read books about that, and they watch programs about that, and they have conversations about that, are they more likely to become a surgeon than somebody who grows up being obsessed and only thinking about engineering or mechanics, right? Who's more likely to wind up wearing a surgeon's scrubs, right? The person who's been thinking about it and focusing on it and learning about it, right? So that's what we mean. What consumes your mental energy influences who you become and what circumstances you find yourself in, right?
Yeah. Like what you're being emotionally involved with, right? Like what you're spending your time and energy and money and like everything getting into. If
Yeah.
you spend your days complaining and thinking poorly of yourself and not believing that you can achieve anything, then obviously what is going to happen,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes you might not even be aware of that, right? And this might be just what you needed to hear to be like, oh yeah, what am I thinking about? I'm actually
Yeah.
not serving myself at all.
That is a good question for the listeners. What are you thinking about? What do you think? How often do you think about how good life is? How often do you think about how lousy life is? To give you a little heads up, listeners, there's a thing called an RAS that's built into every human being. It's the reticular activating system. Okay, it's part of your neurology. And the job of the RAS is to confirm your suspicions, basically. It's to search for evidence of what you already believe. You've heard of confirmation bias, which is something that's created in the RAS. It's if you believe something to be true, you will unconsciously be on a constant search for evidence that it is true. For example, if you believe that, the world is an awful place, well, you're going to have a keen eye for examples of not so great stuff that happens in the world. But if the opposite is true, you'll find the opposite, right? We've deviated a little bit from whatever the quote was we were talking about.
Yeah, we have. The quote was, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also / what you think you become or what you believe.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a couple of examples.
Yeah.
I think one of the lessons that I've learned over the last year is when it comes to these specific phrases, or even if you're reading self-development books, like really chunk down on what you're reading. And sometimes you have to read that page or that quote over and over again. But one really cool thing that I've learned is to apply that sentence to my life and try to like actually apply it. Like, how is this operating in my life? And then that's how I really understand what I'm reading. Another one is just like reading the same chapter every day.
Yeah.
To get it at an even deeper level, because you can read these self-development books and say you're a really fast reader and you're reading like one a day or two a day or something like that. Are you absorbing the information and applying it, right, to your life?
Yeah.
So that would be one kind of like tip I could give the listeners when it comes to these phrases, like apply it to your life, read it like every day for a week even, until you get it, like until it's integrated into your being.
Yes.
I don't know.
Until it is fully
If there's
part.
any keeners out there who are like, I need to figure this out, there's one action step.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. And actually, like, in addition to that, one of the things that I used to do when I was still kind of developing my mindset was sometimes I would just allow myself to listen to programs and know that I wasn't consciously retaining everything, right? I used to have a job where I was on the road like 50, 60 hours a week, and I would burn through 3 or 4, personal development books or programs per week. And certainly I didn't consciously absorb all of it, but unconsciously I absorbed a lot of it, right? Mm-hmm. And so it probably, at least for me at that point in my life, more valuable for me to have that positive, knowledge, personal development information going in and washing over me than, music or something. Because if even 1% of it went in and became an empowering belief or empowering beliefs in my unconscious, then that's tremendously valuable. Yeah. And, looking at where I am today and where I was then, I think it did work. I think that is what happened, right? So that was valuable for me too. So there's two sides of the coin. Yeah, repetition, as Alanna says, go back and make sure you get maximum value from that learning that you are learning. But then also, sometimes you get what you need without even realizing it too, if you give yourself the chance.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I did as well. Now we're totally getting off track, but I listened to, instead of listening to music when I would go for my runs or go for walks or go in the car, I would listen to personal development people talking about the stuff that I wanted to go in here.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. And it has the potential to work really well as well. I mean, we're not teaching hypnosis here on this podcast, but there is certain value to a distracted conscious mind, leaving the unconscious mind open to absorb knowledge and information, right? Perhaps that's a topic for another day. Yeah. Okay. Let's do one more common self-development tidbit of wisdom, translate it for the listeners, and then probably we're out of time, right?
Yeah. Well, the one we have here is let go of the outcome. I think that's something that you hear a lot of. That's a good one to talk about. Let go of the outcome. Because that's a double-edged sword. That could lead people to massive success or nowhere at all, depending on how they interpret it. Yeah, like the way I like to hear it explained is the Amazon package, right? Yeah. Like you order something on Amazon and you're not sitting there like every second checking to make sure that they've received the order, that they're packaging it up, that they're putting it on the whatever truck to get to you. You make your purchase and then you just expect that it's going to arrive. And if you have Prime, you expect it's going to arrive in like 24 hours. And so when I hear that, let go of the outcome, that's immediately now what goes into my mind is Amazon package. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. I think for me, what let go of the outcome means is to produce behaviors that are likely to create the outcome that you want, but to be okay if you don't get the outcome, right? Also known as being outcome independent, right?
Like, for example, I'm going to get on a call and I'm going to sell somebody something. And I'm going to do my best. And I'm going to present them with an offer, and I'm going to present them with data, and I'm going to, whatever information that I think is best and most empowering for them to make a good decision. But I'm not going to be sad or cry about it if they're like, no, this isn't for me, right? I'm outcome independent, right? Mm-hmm. What it does not mean, and I think it's the danger of this very simple, somewhat ambiguous statement of just let go of the outcome. What it doesn't mean is that I'm just not even going to try to make the sale because I don't care about the outcome whatsoever. So I'm just going to go lay on the beach and just will sales and money to come to me, right? No, that's not what this quote, at least in my opinion, means. You're still going to take actions. You're still going to produce good behaviors that are intended to produce an outcome. It's just you're not going to, experience devastation or disappointment if the outcome doesn't immediately occur, right? Like, I'm still going to order the Amazon package, but a couple of days later, if it hasn't showed up, I'll follow up.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm not going to be in the first 24 hours calling Amazon every 10 minutes being like, have you shipped it yet? Right. I'll let go of the outcome appropriately. Right.
Yeah. The other thing too is when I hear this, let go of the outcome might not look like what you were expecting to. So it's like, say you're on that sales call and it doesn't work in your favor, but then someone else, slides into your DMs and is like, I need to work with you now. And so like you're getting the outcome, but not, not from that specific sales call that you were on. Or, maybe you want to make $10,000 this month and you're expecting the outcome is going to be $10,000 from like signing on to 5K clients, but maybe you receive a tax refund of $5,000 and you land a 5K client, right? So it's like, when I hear let go of the outcome, it's just like, it's going to come to me holding that vision, having the behaviors, doing the work regardless, but recognizing that the outcome may look a little bit different than what you were expecting.
Yeah. I think we got that one kind of unpacked there. Let go of the outcome. And like, I just think, listeners, back in your life, how many times have you decided for sure that you want to make something happen in your life, but then also relaxed and just enjoyed your life, and then it happened?
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes obsessing, with a desired outcome can actually push it further away. Right.
Totally. Yeah. That's definitely a really good thing to keep in mind, especially if you're an entrepreneur and, you're wanting your business to work.
Yeah.
Because, you would be amazed. Actually, this morning, because I've kind of been in this space of like feeling a bit anxious because I'm sort of on holiday right now, but I'm not on holiday, and I've been feeling a little bit stressed. And then this morning, I was like, I'm going to let go of the outcome. Basically, I said that to myself.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to enjoy the day. Like, I knew I was recording this later, but I went and played tennis and then I checked my phone when I got home, and I had 2 people who had messaged me who were interested in like hearing more about what I do. So I was like, oh, wow. So there we go. Yeah. See? I didn't post anything to Instagram this morning like I normally do. I wasn't like in business mode. I was just like, oh, I'm just going to go have fun today.
Yeah.
It's Friday.
Yeah. There's this old metaphor about cats. And it's like, if you want the cat to pay attention to you, what do? And the answer is ignore it. Because if you follow your cat around your house, it'll get annoyed and then it'll hide or whatever, right? But if you want it to come and lay on your lap, just go and do something interesting, not involving the cat. And all of a sudden it's coming around like, oh, what are you up to? What are you eating? What are you watching? What's going on? You trying to record a podcast? Let me get on the keyboard.
Yeah. Right? Let me just lie on your desk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. I think
we got it.
We got it.
So if you have any others, feel free to reach out to us. This is the No Excuses podcast with Ryan Montes and Alanna Banks, and we actually have a new Instagram.
Yeah.
That we haven't mentioned yet. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, go to at It's the No Excuses podcast and follow us there. And
Yeah.
feel free to send direct messages there and ask questions or comment. I'm putting the episodes up fairly frequently, so you can comment on them and let us know how much you love our podcast.
Yeah. Everybody do that. Whether you want to or not, just do it. It's important. Yeah.
Share the love.
Share the love. And, if you tag us, if you tag the It's the No Excuses podcast and stuff, we'll probably repost it, right? And
Yeah.
and there'll be this like cycle of love
Yeah.
on Instagram.
So go find us on Instagram, follow us, share us with all your friends, and that's it.
That's it. Cool.
Okay.
All
well,
right.
have a great day, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.